And Water 2016, Section 72C, gives mandate to Water Regulatory Service Board, WASREB. The mandate set license conditions, because we are here to discuss about the renewal of license for the water service provider. The mandate to set license conditions and accreditate water service providers in Kenya. And that is why we are here. The same Water Act 2016, Section 89, 1 and 2, and 130 also gives the regulator the powers to set necessary and prescribe fees for the water service providers. The other mandate is it gives the regulator powers to set tariffs which are justified. It protects the consumer and at the same time protects the water service providers, because this sector is just a cost recovery sector where the tariffs are controlled and are set in consultation and guided by WASREB. I want to believe that we work very, very closely with WASREB. We work very, very closely with the agency in charge of asset development from the Victoria Water Development Agency and the Ministry as well. I want on governance issues, management, the water service provider, KIWASCO, is up to the task, and actually we've gone a milestone in going the last mile connectivity that was being said by the Chief Executive Officer. I also want to confirm here that we are going to have the Water Day. For this year's Water Day is the underground water. However, as County Government of Kisumu Department of Water, we will be able to give free water to the poor of the poor. I want to confirm. That is one of the programs and activities we have marked for this World Water Day, and that's how we are going to celebrate it. So, the CEO, you were with us like we are thinking the same way. Operation, coupled by understanding that we will be able to make Kisumu water and sanitation milestones which have been set. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
For the second gentleman, I would just ask him to stand, greet us and wave. Director Morris Owino. Asante sana, tupigie makofi kwa kuja. This time I'm going to mkaribishe kwa makofi.
Once again, to the CEO of Kisumu and the team, directors from KIWASCO and the MD, staff and the stakeholders. Good morning once again. Yeah, I'm here on behalf of what Lecturer South is up to, or what Lecturer South is currently doing as far as Kisumu County is concerned. I'm sure most of you must be Lecturer South, Waterworks Development Agency, which is actually one of the region of 9 county national public waterworks in the said in the 8 counties that we cover. And over the years, we've been having various interventions within Kisumu County that has contributed to improvements in water and sewerage or sanitation services. And I'll also give a brief highlight. I'll give a very brief highlight on one of the major projects that we are currently doing within Kisumu County, and in particular Kisumu City. And I'll mention that Lecturer South Waterworks Development, through the support of French Development Agency, that is AFP, and the government of Kenya, has implemented within the city of Kisumu that has significantly improved water and sanitation services. And due to the population growth that we are aware of, and the regional economic, commercial and transport hub of the western region that Kisumu is, we continue to face some challenges. I'll mention that since we've been working very closely with KIWASCO, we can confirm that there has been a lot of improvement as far as water services is concerned. However, there are some few critical challenges as stakeholders and leaders of. Hello. Yes, as leaders of Waterworks Development Agency, we are still very keen on to just give an overview of the major project that we are implementing, and this is about what we call Lake Victoria Water and Sanitation. In short, we call it LV Water. This is a project that aims at to rehabilitate and extend water supply system within Kisumu City and other satellite towns, including Maseno, Ilki, Kiboswa, and expand sanitation facilities to mitigate pollution of the environment. Ideally, the program endeavors to address the following, which I'll mention very quickly: gaps in water and sanitation access. Number one, we aim to address the gap in water supply coverage. Said before that there is a lot of improvement that has happened, but we still have a gap. I'm sure that WASREB will say that there is the minimum service levels, which as far as water services is concerned, we have not achieved yet. There is also the sewerage coverage, which is still very low. There is need for expansion of sewerage collection and transmission and treatment infrastructure. Non-revenue water still high, and this intervention also aims to address. We've been lacking a master plan that for water and wastewater that can guide future developments. This is also aimed to be addressed within this program. We also have poor access to waste sanitation in low-income areas, including Manyata, Ogunga, and Nyalena, which is also aimed to be addressed within this program. And the funding of this program is to the tune of 70 million euros to be financed by 4 agencies or different financiers. We have the French Development Agency, we have European Investment Bank, we have the Government of Kenya, and the European Trust Fund. And the specific intervention, the specific infrastructure interventions that we intended to do. One, we intended to construct a construction of 107 kilometers of water supply distribution system within the city, extending to settler towns that I mentioned, including Maseno and KIWASCO. Then there is construction of 70 kilometers of sewage network within Kisumu City, including the areas that are currently underserved. We have development of a new sewerage treatment works and collection system at Otoglu to collect and treat 8,000 cubic meters per day of wastewater. Then there is also preparation of prepare water resources and wastewater management master plan for the city of Kisumu and Kisumu County. Then we also intend to provide a technical assistance to KIWASCO to reduce non-revenue water from the current high levels to about 20%. And I'll just make a very quick highlight on where we are in terms of progresses. It's broken down into two, the consultancies and the works itself. Consultancies, we have like 6 number in total. We have a technical assistance for preparation of tender documents, which is completed. We have technical assistance for project management and capacity building, which was in 2 phases. The full-time phase is completed, and the part-time phase is going on and is expected to be completed by June of 2022. We have the feasibility study and the supervision works consultancy, which consultant concluded preparation of the final designs and the tender documents. Then we have the fourth consultancy, which is water resources and wastewater master plan and quality monitoring, which is ongoing. We have technical assistance on revenue water management and water supply in informal settlement, which is also in 2 phases. The first one, preparation phase, is complete, and implementation of the technical assistance, which is happening in phase 2, is going on. The 6th consultancy is on design and supervision of Otoglu wastewater treatment plant, which tendering is going on. And very quickly, I'll talk about. I'll talk about the works. I've talked about the consultancies. Very quickly, I'll talk about the works. And the works are in different packages. Package 1, which is basically on water and wastewater extension, rehabilitation, and sewer connection. We are at pre-qualification with pre-qualification of contract, ready to be complete. Preparation of tender documents is going on. And works package 2, lot 1, which is basically on additional water network extension and storage. We've done feasibility study completed, detailed design and the tender document preparation ongoing, and the pre-qualification of contractors completed. Then on works package 2, lot 2, which is on Dunga intake and water treatment plant improvement works and Yalena ponds, we've done pre-qualification of contractors is ongoing, and design is also ongoing. Then finally, Otoglu wastewater treatment plant and network. The works has not started, but the consultancy is under procurement. So with these interventions, we strongly believe that we will be able to bring the infrastructural capacity to an adequate level that KIWASCO will now be able to satisfy the needs of Kisumu County. Kisumu town and the environs. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Hussein, for those remarks. We will slightly change the program. I'll ask KIWASCO MD, Bwana Thomas Odongo, to come and do his presentation. And then after that, WASREB will come in. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Madam Terry, and once again, I want to welcome you all now. It's now full. We do not take your presence for granted. I'm going to give a brief highlights on KIWASCO's performance. I'm going to give some brief highlights on our performance. I don't intend to take a long time. KIWASCO is about 19 years old. We were formed in the year 2000, the last 19 years. So what I can say is that we are now maturing, and we are now partner service provision in Kisumu City. In 2018, we changed our, when it comes to sewerage, we are still at about 17%. Significant part of our water customers, we were not given service when it comes to wastewater. So we changed our scope in 2018, and we now embraced sanitation. Other than the city, as the chair of the Chamber of Commerce mentioned, we also manage the rural utilities, the peri-urban utilities, that is the NAS, the Nakach area, and KAB, Kisumu West, 7 sub-counties. So we are doing that on behalf of the county government of Kisumu, and we've been doing that for the last. WASREB is aware of that. Sometime last year, we had a meeting. We went to Kericho together just to brainstorm on where we are on that project and the way forward. That's our strategic foundation. Our mission must be the best in the world, not only in Kenya. Of course, we are here to provide quality water and sanitation services to refresh life of the people that we serve, both the residents and the visitors who come. These are our corporate values, and that thanks to WASREB, Terry and her team. Integrity is also key for us. Teamwork, we work closely with each other. Professionalism and creativity and innovation. So those are our corporate, they are our corporate values. Yeah, as part of our strategic foundation, we also have our customer value proposition. This is our customer experience, and we talk about accessibility and quality. Reliability, of course, we provide water 24/7. Accessibility is in terms of quality and distance. We don't expect the residents of the city to travel long distances to access water, and of course quality, and that's why we urge residents of Kisumu City to drink water direct from the tap. So in terms of how do we reach our customers, customers, or how can customers interact with us. We have social media platforms, and I know that a number of us are active on social media, so you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all the interactive on that. If you have any issue, if you want to seek any clarification, you want to know how to calculate your bill, we normally send messages. You want to query your bill, you want to report a decrease, you want to report a pass, you want to give us compliments, or you want to complain, you can send a message to that number. There's the self-service module. We have the USSD code, and it is there. Very interactive, very interactive. Then we also have the KIWASCO app. We also have a WhatsApp number. We also have a state-of-the-art call center. If you call KIWASCO now, you only speak to a call center agent if you must. But it's something that you can be sorted out electronically. Then you are guided on the steps to sort that out, and that has really improved our interaction with our customers. And of course, we also come to you physically through outreach and others. We have a very active community liaison link that coordinates all that. All right, we have a new tariff that was implemented in January. Our tariff expired in 2019, so it was taken. Bills have reached the tariff there. Sewer collection fee has also reduced, and then a 20-liter jerry can at 2 shillings. Nothing more, nothing less. Recollection fee has increased from 500 to 1,000 shillings. I know this has raised a bit of heat. The new tariff aims to promote sewer connectivity. If you look at the new tariff, the sewer charges have considerably reduced. So there's actually a balance. So the winners are those who are already connected to sewer, because the sewer charges have reduced. Now, the tariff is a cost recovery tariff. So you find that we spend 75 shillings to produce a cubic meter for the lower consumers, right? So the tariff must be understood also. The poor normally consume very low volumes of water, and therefore they pay at cost 75 shillings per cubic meter. But if you consume more, then we expect that you should be able to support those who are poor. Now, in the low-income areas, what we've done with the tariff is that we have removed the blanket subsidy, because we realized that subsidy was not going to the poor directly, and I will explain. Number two, the dynamics in the areas that we used to call low-income areas have considerably changed. If you go to Nyalenda today, you are going to see flats there, right? 3-bedroom targets with the subsidy. WASREB targets the poor. And therefore, in the new tariff, we have removed the blanket subsidy and targeted the tariff to benefit the poor. So going forward, the subsidies that we give as KIWASCO will only be given through the water kiosks that serve the poor, not through the landlords who will have 1 meter, then go to Nyamlori, buy uncalibrated meters, fix for their tenants, and charge them a higher rate. So that is what this new tariff is doing. Number two, in the low-income areas, those with direct connections are selling water to other people, domestic customers selling water to other people at exorbitant rates. That is not allowed, it is illegal. So if you have a domestic connection, you are not allowed to sell water to members of the public. You can change that to a water kiosk so that we allow you to sell water to members of the public. Now, what happens when you are on a domestic tariff and you sell water? You will not be able to pay your bill, right? So this has been happening in the old tariff because of the blanket subsidy. It was not rated. So that is why those who have come to us, we explain to them and they understand. There are those who are not coming to us, but they are writing letters left, right, and center. And there is some very good level of understanding going on, and we expect that to continue. In the old tariff, I've told you that we spend 75 shillings to produce a cubic meter of water. Now, in the old tariff, we used to sell the same cubic meter at 25 shillings. You spend 75, you sell at 25 shillings. It doesn't make business sense. You heard the CEO WASREB say, you are either in business or you are not in business. You are either in or you are out. So we want to be in. So this was discussed with WASREB at length. Of course, these details are not there in the public, but those who care to know, those who come to us, those we are reaching out to, and public barrels are continuing and explaining this, and it is gaining understanding. Billing and complaint management, we are not left out in the rest of digitization of the work. And KIWASCO is one of the companies that has fully also interacted with our meter readers. You can see that there is a bit of technology that is introduced. Your meter is read, input in the system, and I had listed their number. You can use that ticket number to track your complaint until the time it is. These are platforms that our performance over time from 2016, our sales revenue has grown from 500 million on average in 2016, in 2021 on average 800 million. Quite an impressive growth, and this that we have with our customers, and of course living our corporate value, professionalism, creativity, innovation, integrity, etc. In terms of gross profit, you can see there from 419 to 648. In terms of net profit, from 1.2, and at the end of June 2021, we had a net profit of 77 million. So to begin about. Now, this 77 million you can see, of course, is an outlier. Beginning WASREB above it. Through WASREB and, of course, the World Bank, WSTF, WASREB were good enough to recommend us for conditional liquidity support of over 100 million shillings. That's why you're seeing this, that kind of profit, right? And you're seeing you're not paying any tax for it, because it was a grant, right? Yeah, so this is our financial performance. Let's look at what makes sense to us. In 2016, our coverage was 71%. By June 2021, we were at 83%. Our sewer coverage very low, basically flat. This is a challenge that we have, and that is why, apart from the sewer connection strategy that we've developed in conjunction with the Waterworks Agency, we also want to address that through the tariff by lowering the connection charges for sewer and also lowering the sewer charges in your bills. Previously, it used to be upwards of 75% of the water bill. In the new tariff, it's actually less than 50%. It's an incentive for people to connect to sewer. Water quality, in 2021, we went down a bit because of challenges in our distribution system, but our technical team has taken corrective measures, and we hope that in the next impact report, we are going to be where we belong, right? We belong 98% plus. Exactly, thank you. Now, this is wrong. This should be 47%, right? It's not 4%. It should be 47%, so that's wrong. But you can see from 47% in that theft, a big problem. And you know we have an incentive. If you bring to us a report on somebody who is stealing water, right? How do you steal water? Kuna wale wanaweka bypass, ndio. Kuna wale wanang'oa vita usiku, wanajaza tanks, right? And we receive those reports, we arrest them, charge them, and those incidences are going down because of the good collaboration we have with members of the public owners, and of course the incentive that we give. I think we normally give 10,000 shillings for every report. Collection efficiency, averaging 92%. We can do better, but CEO, you can see that during the Corona period, our collection efficiency did not go down because we kept on engaging customers. If you don't pay now, you pay double or triple later. So it's better you reduce it now. So we expect this to go up. Complaint resolution, this is where we are. CEO, that's why you gave us the award for being the best in customer service in the last impact report. Okay, this is just a diagrammatic presentation of that. These are our challenges. Old and dilapidated network. Old story, we'll continue talking about it because it's a reality, right? We still have over 50 kilometers of asbestos in our network, right? We still have GI, the old GI pipes that are heavily corroded, over 100 kilometers of that. Those needs to be replaced. So realize as we are upgrading the old network, there's also pressure that we increase coverage. So it is a balance of the two. And that is why we have a cost recovery tariff that will enable those two things. The other thing that I will not mention about the tariff is that this time the tariff that has been implemented in January is going to be implemented for the next 5 years. Sasa tulikwenda tena tunataka kuongeza bei ya maji. After 5 years, the same tariff itakuwa nayo. Right? So that's another very important aspect that you need to understand. Vandalism of the infrastructure. Members of the county assembly, county government, road network, very good infrastructure. Water network, very good infrastructure. But when roads are being done, most of the time, you find our parks are being stopped, and it becomes a challenge. One, we lose water, non-revenue water. Number two, our customers stay without supply for a period until that is repaired. So that's a big problem. We are working closely with the county, with the city, to ensure that is reduced. Now, pollution is another challenge. Lake water is heavily polluted. And we use a lot more resources to to treat lake water compared to what we use to treat river water. You know, we have two abstraction points, one on the Wakibos, Kajulu, which is a gravity system, and another one on the lake. So if you look at what we use to treat river water, it's twice as much. It's twice as much. And because it's also fully pumping from the lake, it's very, very expensive because of the electricity costs, which we've been advocating for preferential tariffs, and we hope that the national government is going to hear that. So pollution is a problem, and that is why in our CSR activity we normally focus more on reduction of pollution and working with other agencies to promote pollution awareness. Climate change, of course, the rising lake levels. This was a big problem. This was a very, very big problem, stakeholders, if you remember. This is our pump house, and it was almost submerged. It was almost submerged because of the rise in the lake levels. You can imagine a pump house being submerged, right? That was a big one. The drying of River Kibos recently, when there is drought, the river basically dries and we are able to abstract. So this require high levels of intervention, and we are in talks with the Waterworks Development Agency to do something about the rise in the lake level, so that even if it rises to whatever level, our operations are not affected. River Kibos lock a dam so that during the rainy season we can harness that water to be used during the dry. Low investment in sanitation. There's a World Bank report that says that for every $1 invested in sanitation, the reward you get is equivalent to $23. Quite huge. And that's why we focused on change our scope to focus also on sanitation. And I'm happy to report that since we changed our focus to embrace sanitation in 2018, we've seen a lot of improvement in terms of the dignity of people in the low-income areas. These days, if you can walk in Nalenda, you can walk in Manhattan, and you feel very, very comfortable. So that has played a role in the change in the dynamics in the low-income areas. These days, I wouldn't mind getting a house in Nalenda and I live there because it's accessible, sanitation facility there. And we are doing this as a catalyst. We are not doing it ourselves. We've attracted a lot of partners who have come and invested in sanitation in the low-income areas. Non-revenue water we talked about. Meter theft, this is still a menace. CEO, we have changed our policy. We are now using plastic meters so that we avoid this instance of meter theft that has been there with us for many years. And of course, encroachment of the catchment areas. This is being dealt with by the national government and of course the county government. 2 years back, somebody just wanted to build a resort next to a plant, but that did not come to pass. So those are some of the challenges that we face. Our future outlook, check what's happening to. Right, of course. So we have started the process of developing a new strategic plan that is going to run for the next 5 years. So we are aiming to increase our coverage to over 90% in the next 5 years. But by end of June, I expect us to be at around 85%. Through collaboration with stakeholders, we also aim to increase our sewer coverage from 80%. I've mentioned that we've developed a sewer connectivity plan that we are going to implement, and that is backed by the new tariff that we just implemented. We want to increase our customer satisfaction from 77 to over 85%. I can assure you that's going to happen. Increased access of water in the low income areas to over 90%. This is, of course, going to be a reality within the next 1 year. Currently, we are at 89% in the low income areas. So those are some of the successes of the EMMM model, the master operator model that we've had over the years through the provision of blanket service subsidy that we used to have, that we have now changed. Yeah, of course, our current revenue, we are generating about 75 million a month. We want to increase that to over 90 million a month for us to be able to cover our O&M costs effectively. Yeah, and lastly, of course, strengthening corporate governance. This is going to enhance efficiency, stakeholder relations, and of course, reduce exposure to risk. When it comes to corporate governance, I also want to thank WASREB for launching the new handbook on corporate governance training, which of course we're going to embrace. Yeah, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Let's give them another hand clap. Despite technological challenges, tumesikia inatupeleka. Are we okay with what we are hearing so far? If you have issues, we are coming to plenary session not long after this, because now we want to invite Engineer Peter Jaga to come and make his presentation, and thereafter we are going straight to plenary.
Everybody.
Good afternoon.
Why don't you stand up, because I want to take you to a very important session, and the main reason that's why you came here, so that we can internalize. Yes, as we stand, and in whatever language or motion, can we try to write the name Kisum? K, and then the other one, and then I, now S. And then you know that you have the lower part, one point you have to go down, and then go up, and then M, capital M. Again. Now, Kisum, capital U. Then go down, and then up. Thank you, we can visit it now. Yeah. I think I want to thank the presentation you have had here from Water Development Agency and KIWASCO. And it did not happen just by default. It's one of the requirements that before you make a decision on what I'm going to ask you to do here, that really you should understand why that statement caught my attention. under the SDG, we are told leave no one behind. So let's not discriminate on the basis that a certain category of people are not able to, cannot be able to access water because of its cost. Now this brings me to an issue the MD raised here, and I want to correct it here for all. The MD said give them at 25 shillings. Did you hear that? And then there's a statement that cannot be business. In WASREB, that is business. And that is particularly designed so by the regulatory agency. And why? We call it a proper tariff or the lifeline tariff. And how does the 6 units, how do you arrive at the 6 units? As per the World Health International Organization, for you to survive, you need to get 40 liters, 2 jerrycans of 20 liters per day. That's the requirement. And Kenya as a country has to be seen to comply with that. So that is in compliance with the international covenant. And how did we arrive at 6? We looked around at the profile, the family, size of household, and the likes people. Each one of them getting 40 liters per day times 30 days. That's how the answer we got that. That's how we arrived at that. So when we got to international meetings, and then came a big challenge under the Bill of Rights, are you compliant under the right to water? Yes, we say we are compliant. Look at our billing. And then the other thing, they look at the pricing. Yes, the pricing is not the actual one, it is subsidized. And who is giving the subsidy? The subsidy is coming from those who are consuming high amount. Because honestly, come on, over 50,000 or so liters. I'm sure that money is what is not for survival. It's for a lot of luxury, isn't it? Maybe you are showering every 30 minutes, there are swimming pools, but you will not enjoy that. If you want to enjoy that, then at a cost. Then you have to remember your brothers. That's how we arrive at that, and I wanted to say just for clarification. So it is one way of making sure that even the poor of the poor are getting the services, and MD does a good concept to say that Kisumu is compliant, that the very bottom consumers there are subsidized. That's a very positive aspect. The other issue I wanted also to clarify here, it is the change of name. When the MD said here, and he said it correctly, that you are having sanitation. I think at one time there was a problem or confusion in this country, and we did not give sanitation. We thought sanitation was actually the sewerage. But the fact of the matter is that sewerage is part of sanitation. And quite a number of companies are now changing to water and sanitation. And when we say sanitation, we mean the network, the one that is network, and then the septic tanks, the pit latrines, and the rest. Because there's also some form of sanitation. That's why we like to use sanitation is more inclusive. When you look around before 2018 and you look at some of the companies that were formed here, we had some which were like XYZ, sewerage and sanitation company. CEO, Kienda Mati House, sometimes maybe you may tell them properly, politely, you will find somebody, director of sewerage and sanitation. That is very, very long. Although it's sewerage, I have to be director of sanitation and Atosheke. Because sewerage is part of sanitation. There is no competition for long titles. You know, those long things. The correct thing is sanitation. And I think we need to correct that, and that's very positive. In the rural, it is true, the whole country, there's a challenge, and here I'm aware there are 2 schemes that give you a challenge. We shall be coming here in the next period of less than 1 month to engage you on the rural area, the model. We have put it under our 60 days RRI, and the MD was challenged by the CEO, please, can you have that thing? So we must be here in the next less than 1 month to be able to be, and it's pulling us back. Why I'm saying it's pulling us back? Because I know that. Why I'm saying it's pulling us back? Because I know that you say they will bring you down, isn't it? That's how you are going to run. We know. Orders you to bring them on board with Traffic 70, which is not bad because you are hard working. Then as you go again to 98, we have to go promote the house deal. That is the objective actually. You are a performing company, you are able to the task, but we are coming to engage on that. We cannot just manage to leave them in an isolated way. The other thing again I wanted to observe, and I hope this is the water family. MP, when you do your account there, don't say profit. I can tell you when you get to the office, they'll be there with you. Call it surplus. Because how can you make profit water and yet kila mtu hajakunywa maji? Are we together? It's only when we get to 100% coverage and then we make those kind of profit. We have a problem that with KRA, they have gone to some area, they have frozen the account, so just call it a surplus, but it is something we have been handling at a very, very high level. Yes, and I think lastly I was happy to see Owino here. He's one of the guys I met at the center, now director at Kisumu City. These are the things that make you, happy when you get to my age. And the number of MPs in this region, of course, I have met at the very good. Thank you so much. Now over to presentation. We'll be looking at those issues. And I want you to be very keen because this will constitute the licensing process. We'll be looking at the framework of regulation. Why are we here? Why is it that we engage the water sector? We'll also be looking at the institutional setup, who is doing what, and the role of regulation. And then we'll be focusing on this session, rationale for issuing license. Then we'll be looking at the procedures and requirements for obtaining a license, performance of the sector. And what like Victoria South, what I've talked about investment, we'll be looking at the sector financing. And we'll also be looking at the role of the county assembly and what are the priority issues for the sector. And now, as we near to make the big decision, we shall be looking at the commercial viability. Because that is what decides. The MD has just alluded, you got a 5-year tariff. Ordinarily, we don't give you a tariff that long if we have no confidence in the data you have provided us. So that 5 years is a mark of confidence by the regulator of KIWASCO, and I think we need to accept that. If you give us data that is not very credible, we give you 2 years. Yeah, so you should see that as a mark, as a positive mark, that the utility can be able to secure a 5-year tariff. And then we'll also be looking at the commercial viability, and then going forward, what do we need to safeguard? And just as I said in the sentence, by now I think we all know this, that we have devolved as a country, we have 2 levels of government, and the water service is by the county government. I think that's now clear to us. And most important is that our constitution has the human rights. And I'm always saying, it's just a matter of time before somebody who lives on a mountain within your area of service area where WSP is working, and they demand that he needs water, it takes you to court. From my experience, I can share with you, I have come across that headache. I once worked in a foreign country, and there was somebody who used to live top of the mountain. He liked to live there. And it was absolutely difficult to take water there. And he showed me, gave me a lot of headaches. Finally, we had to come up with a small pump station, but I wanted to emphasize that that the water service provision is the county government. I think that must be very clear. Even though water service provision of water is a shared resource, but that provision is making sure the last mile gets to the consumer. That is the work of the county government, and they do it through their agents who are the water companies. This is the institutional setup, and I'm hoping we are conversant with this. We have the National Water Harvesting Authority. They do the strategic projects. We have the water tribunals where legal issues are supposed to be settled. And then we have the trust fund providing funding to the sector. And recently we were, utilities were benefiting from the condition of support liquidity grant. And the MD highlighted that we got over 100 million. And the rest are the institutions. We have WASREB, Water Development Agency, and water service providers, and the consumers. This is the institutional setup we have for water service provision. Now, this is WASREB, and I think I want to say it in summary, that WASREB primary duty is to protect the interests and rights of consumers in water service provision. That is why you found when the MD was presenting tariff, yeah, because tariff will not always go up all the time. In fact, I foresee at one time when we have 100% coverage, it will go down. When we have, so that's why we normally use the word cost recovery. All we want at this moment, for now. But once WSP does very well, tariffs sometimes goes down, so it's not always an increase. And it's the role of WASREB to ensure that happens. So this is a summary of the WASREB function. I think it's we share so that you know where we come in. We are doing licensing, and here we are discussing about licensing. We are setting standards for water service provision, tariffs, and recently we launched the governance training handbook. We are implementing standards, and we are facilitating information on water services. If you look at your desk that you have on your table there, you see an acronym that gives you a lot of information about WASREB. And we are also enforcing compliance to standards. I cannot emphasize that more than what the CEO said, that if you are overcharging consumers, there are penalties, period. And it's not just saying we have actioned quite a number of WSPs under pressure under that actually. So that is the enforcement of the standard. And of course, on emerging issues, we advise the Cabinet Secretary on matters of water. Now, I want to give a summary of this space, the water space. There are three critical players here. This space. We have of course the consumer. And we have the government. And government, I mean the county government or national government. And then we have the WSP. If you look at the three, that triangle, they are always competing. Their interests are different. Their interests are different. And I think I'll be very honest with you, Frank, like around a time like this, when we are moving toward the election, there are quite a number of WSPs who are not able to meet their cost. And when we ask them, please bring your tariff for review, you understand? You understanding me? So what happens now, the WSP are doing very poorly, they are just going down. So what happens now if they are unable to pay their salary strike? No, we go back to the same thing. So I think we need to detach the tariff issues and the politics and the likes. The other aspect is the WSPs as much as possible. They would like even to charge you maybe even for zero, nothing. And that's why one of the complaints we have in the sector is that quality PDM we could do na maji na mita hiendi. That's a very common problem because we receive an aggregate of all the complaints, so we know that is key. And then of course the consumers don't want to pay. And it's just sometimes WASREB is lenient that if you are doing water service provision and if you are aware there are so many people who are doing it, especially the community, action can be taken against you. But we have said, because we are a growing nation, let us try our best and regularize. And once everybody is regularized, then those who defy that, the action can be taken. So it's a very important tool and it's a requirement for water service provision. This is what you need, and this is where we spend a lot of time. This is where we spend up to months. One, we need to get evidence that the board of directors possess the qualification which complies with the standard set by the regulatory board under Section 1790. We have a corporate governance guideline. That is the first thing we look at. If it's not compliant, then we may spend up to a month or several weeks as we solve that. And why do we do that? Because if you are going to give a company a license and there's no proper oversight, then it's headed nowhere. I mean, that just applies directly. Then the other aspect we need is two. What the Victoria South have expanded very well. What is the technical and financial capability? Does the company have the technical and financial capability to provide services and to perform the function authorized by the license? I think the presentation by the MD has proved that, but they are also performance in impact. And the evidence that the water service to be provided be commercially viable, that again has been demonstrated through the analysis the MD has also shared. And then what are the business plans that are there in place? And these are the one of details of planned financial infrastructure improvement. I think as the Victoria South was talking, you hear saying we are planning to do this, we are planning to do this. So we also cross-check that because we have done this with them and confirm that it is true that those things will happen for KIWASCO actually. It's not just imagination. And when those things happen, we know now we are increasing on our coverage and more Kenyans are getting access to water. Now, this is the other bit which we share with you because the sitting we have here is also a requirement in the Water Act that an application for a license shall be subject to public participation. That is section 139 of the Water Act. It's a must. And if you skip this page here, then anybody can go and mess up the whole process. The other one is that any person opposed to the grant of the license may object in writing to the regulatory board. We have to expose that to you if you think you are not comfortable. With sufficient reason, of course. Of course, you cannot say, do not award KIWASCO a license. You have to give a reason. When you give a reason, we shall try to respond to that. And then if you are not satisfied, I think I showed you a slide there. There's the order tribunal. Then you can take your case around there. So there is room. Nobody is blocked from hearing the opinion. I have seen empty like after we did the tariff. And you know there was a public participation. The CEO has said correctly that he has received complaints. So I was wondering when I saw them, where are these people? And I know there was no public participation here. So sometimes you think it's mischief. You know, you can want to make a name from mischief. Because we sat, there was such a thing, we put this advert in the paper, there was all the time. Even now we are not closing down. I think we have a number of days for people to bring in their opinion there. And the rest just talk that if we are not able to deliver your license, then I think we have up to 6 months or so to be able to respond and tell you the position. Now, I'm getting to another very interesting area, and this is the question of coverage, and I just want us to look at the first one, water coverage. As a country, our water coverage is 57. That is by the date of 1920. If you look at 1819, we were 59. 1920 is 57. You would wonder what's happening. Hapo iko maneno mingi sana. It's not just figures. It means the population is growing at a faster rate than the rate at which we are putting investment. So this should be a wake-up call. Now to the national government. And when we were going through here, we went that one of our roles is to advise the minister. So this kind of information, potentially will bring it to the minister. And maybe they discuss at cabinet that we need more investment in the water sector. That is the message. And we are now collecting the current data. If it goes down, then it says there's a problem, we need more money getting to the water sector because the population is growing. Now, for us to get to our 2030 goals of universal access, and I just want us to confine as to water, the sewerage is that application of the same, we need 1.2 trillion. Out of that 1.2 trillion, what we can get from government, NGO, development partners, is about 562. Who ndio ukweli wa mambo? Yeah. Because if we internalize it at national level, then we are going to get it at this level. And then maybe stop bashing the MD so much, why are you not giving connection, why are you not... This is the national picture actually. For sewerage, it is even worse. We need about 477 billion, but then there's about 31 billion. I think this is sewerage, yeah. So you see the gap is quite huge. And KIWASCO has its own challenge the same way. You can easily do such a task for KIWASCO. So the question as we sit here, as the stakeholders, where is the balance of the money going to come from? Let's move. I think this is even better. It tells it better. And I'm sharing this with you so that you can see now where you come in as stakeholders, where you come in, and your role in this. This is what I've said the national and local government can provide. I have engaged some CEC ministers in quite a number of counties. And when we share with this, the reaction I get from them, they say, "Bana, mimi governor ananipiaga ile pesa yote nataka." Last year we asked for so many millions, za maji na tukapewa. So can you see the picture is very wrong? Because they are just confining themselves to the 5. They are just confining themselves to here. Now, NGOs, donors, let's move step by step. We project to get like 318 billion. But then you and me know very well the donor funds come with a lot of conditions. It is not something you are very sure. Now, where we step in is here on user fee. 371 user fee. That kind of surplus that the MD demonstrated, we need more of that. And with a very effective board in place, then the board will ensure that that money goes to investment. So the time has a key place in trying to, on the road towards the universal coverage. I think we just have to agree on that. This story, serikali ongeze pesa, it is not doable. Yeah, we just have to accept. And just to move you backward, I don't know, in the 90s, there was this slogan in every meeting, water for all by the year 2000. Is anybody here heard that? What happened in the year 2000? Because I was in the water sector and I was following very keenly. When it became impossible, that it was not possible to get that target, rumors started. That is when you were told Dunia inaisha the year 2000. You recall that? And there were a lot of things written that you will go to ATMs, you need the flights, will not, all those kind of things. You see, somebody scared us and we quickly forgot about that target. Tukasikia all about it. Tukasema, if all of us are going, why do we need water? Then what happened immediately after that? When somebody looked around the corner na kila mtu yuko somehow. Tukaambiwa sasa Vision 2030. You mwaka 2030, you remember those statements? Kenya will be a middle income country, you can recall all those things. Now, because again we are saying, is anybody, are you hearing up there wakiongea Vision 2030? Because wanaona hii bwana hiyo the country that you don't want to be associated with it. But now we are also to blame because we are also part of the team now. But can we do our part? And I'll show you that if we each do our part, then it's possible to get that Vision 2030. Then there is the other one, about 512 billion, this investment opportunity. There is a lot of opportunity to invest in the water sector. A lot of banks want to get there. But the problem is that they don't understand how the water sector is run. I have engaged so many commercial institutions. Wanasema wanaogopa. And I think, Chair, coming from the business area, I think you agree with me, eh? Yeah, they say, afadhali to finance nyumba utaona usiku, you can even take a camera and put it somewhere yourself. Lakini ya watu, their job is underground. They are like those animals that work underground. It's very difficult. So that fear is there, but we have to demystify it now. Now, for KIWASCO to be able to access this, attract this investment, it needs a license. It will need a license. Because the bank will have to carry out their due diligence. Watangalia, are you compliant with the works required by the regulator? Tick. Do you have a tariff that's supposed to cover it? Tick. And that money can come in. I recall MD, sometimes back I was dealing with the cooperative bank. I hope that deal went through. There's a time cooperative bank wanted to advance a few years ago, like 3-4 years. Yeah. Yes, you see, I know they were consulting me a lot, and what we did is that we had to give them a letter of comfort. We told them, no, that company has the capacity. Because the company had said we want to do ABC, you see? And when you get connected, people pay. So this is the space we have. And for us to be able to assist in filling this space of 512, we need to be very compliant. And the starting place is a license. So that's very key. I wanted to link up the two so that you see how this license is connected to the growth of KIWASCO. Now, we have county assemblies. What is their role? Do you have anybody from them here from the county assemblies, please? Just raise up your hand just to appreciate. Thank you very much. Now, with respect to matters of water, kwa hiyo bunge, this should be your 3 agendas. If you do that, then you are contributing immensely to the growth of KIWASCO. One has to do with the budgets. Always follow up. How much is allocated to the water function? You now know there's a very big gap. Clearly. So you must ensure that a substantial amount goes to water. Then 2, you must also make sure that you are enacting laws that are actually aligned to the constitution. And you have policies and the master plan in place. And then the rest of the job is just oversight. Once in a while, calling the MD, the team, just to find out how are they operating and are they operating as required of them. That's the role of the county assembly. Now we are getting close to why we are here. WASREB, license is based on a commercial viability criteria, and that comes from the Water Act 2012, that a water service provider shall comply with the standard of commercial viability set out by the regulatory board. And I want to just briefly share with you the standards we have set. We have the O&M post-covering, very key. O&M post-covering, that you must be able to cover your costs from the revenue. That is the beginning. If you are not, then you are not probably going to help us attain our goal soon. The other issue we look at is personnel expenditure as a percentage of O&M. And Chairman, I believe you have a technical committee. These are the issues we should be interrogating every 3 months. Yeah. Ukiona O&M iko sawa, wewe unatosheka, you know the company is going very well. Also look at the other parameter, personnel cost as a percentage of O&M. Because if you spend more on personnel and then you are not maintaining your system begins to deteriorate. And then WASREB has a sector benchmark on this. There's a certain level prescribed. So you should think, where are we? What is the sector benchmark? If you are safe, then the company is operating very well. Then the other issue should look at the question of non-revenue water. That one we shared here. The sector benchmark is less than 20. The utility is doing very well. I saw that at 26. If you see at 26, moving towards 25, wow, so. And then the other issue, the question of water quality. There are many parameters that come in, like the flooding that happened around there, that will affect the water quality. And then the other one is the top management, human resource skills. The WSP has the requisite skills, and the process of recruitment is competitive. Again, for that, there's a weight. Board of director size and recruitment. The size of the board complies with the standard that has been set by WASREB. That is also very key. And I think I'll also disclose to you, we have a lot of problems in that area, Chairman. Right now, tunawatu, they were board members, na pia wanasimama, lakini wamekataa kutoka. Wanasema hizi kampuni za maji they are private entities. Would you agree with that? See? And the law is very clear that if you have interest there by February 12th, lakini WASREB now is grappling with those issues. So, why we fear is that we think that continued presence of that person or the director there is not in good faith, honestly. Those are practical issues. The other issue we look at is what we've discussed here, detail of planned institutional and infrastructural improvements. And of course the tariff is very key. And for each of these, there's a weight we give. And then you score that adds up to 100. So when we assess you, and this company was assessed along those lines, and then you score more than 70 or more than 70, then you are declared, the regulator declares you as commercially viable, and we give you a 5-year license. If you score between 50 and 69, you are not commercially viable straight away. But then there are a few things that can be given as support here and there to make you commercially viable, but we give you a 2-year license. So after 2 years, you will be commercially viable. And then when you are less than 50, we are now trying to think how can we put women under special regulatory regime. Just like at one time, Kisumu was asked to take over Yana. Is it government rights? I mean, these things are quite a headache. They are not being sustainable, you see. So even existing utilities who are in this region here, that is now a recommendation. That if that is very, very poor. You are not helping us to attain our targets who are the water service provision. So, where do you think, from the presentation you have had here, Kisumu and Shinagapi? Let me hear from the prophets of the future. Chama, unafikia kampuni yako ilishinga ngapi out of that assessment?
It's commercially viable.
It had over 70?
Yes, it's commercially viable.
Anybody of a contrary opinion? Huko nyuma, unafikia Kisumu ilishinga ngapi? Yes, somebody wants to speak? Just say it. Even the staff, you are not aware where you stand. You have no confidence with your work. The staff of KIWASCO? Okay. Yes. This was your score under commercial viability. You scored 70. That means you are commercially viable. But then you would have done much better than that. There are issues now. This one we shall put in the license. You are O&M coverage, mukopane kwa threshold. Yeah, O&M cost coverage. You are at 104, you want to get 150. 104 is very tricky. You are just covering. And we could have something that could trigger issues like the COVID-19 or any circumstances. You are not well cushioned. In fact, we like this figure being around 120. So that in the event of anything, instability 2-3 months, then you can survive. So in the license condition, we are asking you to move to 150. Personnel expenditure, you are 35, you will reduce to 20%. But 35%, I would say is very good still, but can you move towards the sector benchmark? We have one of the utilities in this country and one of the largest. Their personal expenditure is 70%. Sasa niambie hawa wanaenda wapi? Out of the revenue they collect, all those millions, 70% of that goes to personnel only. So only 30% go through an end. No wonder when you walk within the area, you find a lot of bars, a lot of sewerage, a lot of manhole without covers. Consumers are complaining, I'm getting water once a week. That is what the consequences of that. And eventually, their service will collapse. Once they collapse, staff go on strike. That's why we are very keen on that parameter. But for Kisumu, this one had was at 20%. That's achievable. And how do you do it? When we share this with the MPs, they are very combative. Wanasimama wanachukua microphone. WASREB, unaniambia nivute watu. It's very difficult to sack people. I cannot sack people. No, we are telling them, grow your business. That's the challenge. We are concerned. If you grow your business, then that figure will, automatically adjust yourself. Now, on revenue water, I think I saw a different figure here. Empty we have I think I saw 26. I think we have organized that. But whatever the case, try to move towards the 25 and less than 25. And then see how you can do the challenges of water quality to 100%. Because as CEO told us, ukiletea kibuyu ya maziwa ujue kuna katibu hapo. Utatumwa. Sasa wale tukiambia watu Kenya hii maji ya Kisumu ni hapo. So what message? And the chair told us this directly from the top. That is the implication of this. And this information is published. So can we make sure that's what to me is so are you going to drink this water? You don't know what's happening. Please, let's work on that. So we put that as a condition, and I'm sure it can be achieved here. Now, what are areas of priority? Again, this is for the board, and the board is here for you to demand and push the board, and for the board also to put pressure on the management that we need to increase in terms of coverage at a higher rate. We need to improve governance. We need to focus on what the MP told us. This one here, sanitation. I think he mentioned that we are lagging behind, so this is an area of focus. We also need to address this. He mentioned about the two schemes which are headed in the rural area, focus on that. And we are coming here for a special session to see how to move forward on that. And then we also need to ensure there is an equity service. And I think I like it when you say that you want the poor of the very poor. I think that was the implication, and coming from the source that was very encouraging. We want to reduce water losses, and these water losses are a headache in Kenya. Annually, we are losing about 11 billion. This is not 8 billion, 11 billion. That's what we are losing at the whole country. And yet we are saying that we don't have investment. You see the complication? Yes, at one time, it got to the attention of the presidency, and we had a lot of pressure, actually. It went through the Kenya private sector alarm or something, and there be a lot of pressure to explain to the president why it's like that. And I think you'll agree with me, and that water actually is water that is stolen. And then we also need to increase more per capita, investment. I mean, what we are saying is that just have more investment. And then the climate change, I think we saw it, see how to mitigate the climate change. And then improve sustainability, and the money in water must always remain in water. Ring fencing revenues. What you collect in water must remain within the water. So the board don't agree. Don't agree where the money that you collect, you are asked to should go anywhere. And I think I give you a good example because I've been there. I sometimes went to a certain foreign country, and then we had we have Madaraka Day. What I was doing, we were doing what we call peer review of the water company, how it is performing and a certain program. So one of the things the MP told us when he arrived there, that 2 days ago, we had a national celebration of the Madaraka Day version, and that function was actually supported by this company. This is happening in Africa. I can show you the edited reports. Now, the Minister of Water in that country did not like it. He didn't like the utility being asked to support the national event. But the MD was very enthusiastic of doing that because he had interest that were aligned those areas. So when we did the report, because it was very confidential, I can say because we are in parent, the minister just asked us to send him the report in private. Because if we send it to the WSP, it is going to be altered by the time it gets to him. So ring fencing, water, money in water must remain doing water issues until everybody has water 100% covered. I think that's the message. I'm just concluding. It's been a long presentation, but I think it's good we internalize this. That right to water, which is there in our constitution, It is best achieved in a sector operating under uniform norms, standards on governance, quality, service delivery, cost recovery, and protection of consumers. And the good governance can only be ascertained in this nation. I think every year we have the impact report, and you can see the performance of the company. And then the other one, we need to work on this headache of small-scale providers or the underserved areas. And the other aspect is that we need to run in a business-like way. Water service is already commercialized for better service delivery, so this should continue. And again, if you look the link between WSPs and the county government, WSPs that are doing very well, they are trying to help in strengthening the mandate of the county government in water service provision. So, coming from the county government side, you should be proud and happy if you have a WSP that is performing well, because they're helping you achieve your mandate that's in the constitution. And then we also need to keep on reporting, national reporting. These are the kind of statistics that the MD has shown us here, so that we know where we stand in terms of getting towards the universal coverage. Thank you very much, and thank you so much for listening to me. I can take one or two questions before I invite her here for the big question or comment or clarification. Yes, please.
You talked of ring fencing revenue.
Yes.
And you know that county governments, once the devolution took place, they have been busy trying to get revenue.
Yes.
And I know that sometimes when they are doing budgets, they expect that water companies should be able to pay something to the county government. I don't know whether it is something that is widespread, and if so, what safeguards do you have so that the money is ring fenced? Because if there was no problem, we would have not mentioned ring fencing.
When we got the water sector reforms, that is what we were trying to cure. You know, before the reform of 2002, 57%. So we still have a long way to go. So we still need more funds. Number two, if we do that, if we try to do that, go and get cycle back from the development partners, they will just withdraw. Yet then, again, we are blocked. So county government should let the funds in the water companies just remain replaced.
Yeah, but I think most of the county governments do not have money that they are budgeting for water companies. They don't provide any finance support to the water companies.
Yes.
Yeah, most of them.
But we know they receive money from national government, and there's a component of water. What happens now, that becomes another issue. We know that money is there. From the commission, there is always a water component. Thank you. Even a comment, please. You can also comment, not necessarily a question.
No, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, let me add what the engineer is saying, that the board is a legal person. The board is a legal person, and it must remain as a legal person. The very minute you will now take money to another county government, then you are losing the taste of being on your own feet. And make sure that the regulator will be tracking you.
Yeah.
There is nothing in the box without the regulator knowing for that. Another thing also is that the issue of the human resource and the skills. If the boards are not having a very good dialogue with the county government, we have some boards where maybe they accept requests from the county government, and then they have allotted staff. So you use much of the income which you get to pay off people who are not doing anything. Yeah? Water service providers in this country, they don't want to adopt the smart meters because, vijana ambao wanaenda kusoma meters kule nje, very lucrative. Na wakipiga kwa boma la Philips, na mimi Philips ndio unajua, utasemaje? unapatia tu 1,000 na mambo yanaishia hapo. Are you getting it? So we like the boss. Afadhali your body will dissolved kwa haki yako, but not necessarily just money. Because the thing is, I think we heard, was it Embu, water service provider, which was Nyeri. They were given an opportunity, I think, in 2019 to showcase in Europe. We also want to hear Kisumu showcasing elsewhere, and where you put your facts and figures to be known by everybody. We have a fear that maybe after the elections, najua kwa county governments there are only two parastatals. Mambo ya maji and the county public service boards. But we shall be appealing to the county governments that retain a sizable size of the board. Because the very minute you have a plotted size of the board, then definitely it will be taking in more resources. WASREB will continue training the boards. It's not an expenditure of the county government, it's the WASREB. We shall be training them so that let it be lean and a fractional board. But now, in case a lot of interference will happen after the elections, then definitely again is going to be a big challenge that WASREB will need to come back again and do the training. But what we normally advise the boards is that they should be staggered appointments, so that never at any one time all the board members exceeding. Because when they exceed en masse, it's going to be a challenge. And we insist it has to be competitive. It has to be competitive. That is the best way. In fact, the very minute you go the competitive way, we shall include in our remarks, slightly put it by Engineer Jaga, when we are recommending you for financial assistance. But the very minute you use shortcuts, black and white, that's how you undertake. The other thing is, financial institutions are very cautious on how safe is their money with the board of directors. So if the board of directors were not hired competitively in this country, will never give you money, because they know that the very minute swords with whoever appointed you, then you will exit. Then the money is going to be a big chamberlain. Okay, thanks.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, CEO, for that. I just want to conclude by, I think I showed you this, that gap in financing that we need. WASREB has been trying to think very hard out of the box, and we have been engaging with the National Bank, and we are very advanced. And we have developed a product for financing water companies. It's already developed. And if I recall, MD, you must have been there, the National Bank and Aqua. Yes, I think he was there. We have already developed where a WSP can access up to 40 or 50 million. We set those targets, but for last mile, si miradi mikubwa ni ile kupelekea pipe watu pale wapate maji. We think that will have a lot of impact, and 40-50 million they can be able to pay. But for you to be able to access that, WASREB is part of the team. WASREB will have to approve license. Okay, you see how we come in, And it's a good thing. So WSPs must ensure that they are compliant with what is required. That money is from the National Bank, and I should say it here, it was a concern that came from the top leadership of this country sometime last year. The question was, how come the water sector is not attracting PPP, private sector is not getting in there? And that is how you know National Bank was asked to speak to us as it came about, and quickly the product was developed. They are now ready to start making it operational, and some of the conditions for WSPs to access is license and the tariff. So let's take advantage of these facilities that are developed working together with our own bank. And we think that if we begin, other financial institutions will get confidence and they will get that water space. And once they do that, then that financing gap would end up reducing it, and also make sure that we are the right path to our 2030 goal of universal access. There was a hand at the back there. Somebody wanted to comment? Okay, if there's nobody, then, yes, please. For gender balance, I think that's very key. We forgot, madam. This, where's the other microphone?
Good afternoon. All protocols observed. My name is Mary Uche. I work with Cooperative Bank. And I'm here with George Odio, also the branch manager in one of the branches here. So, I want to thank you, WASREB, and of course Kisumu Water for inviting us. And I think this meeting has been very helpful. Maybe I should start by saying I'm one of the people who interacted with you. You trained me from Continental Hotel.
Yes, we worked together. Yeah, correct.
Yes, and also we've been talking a lot on phone. We have quite a bit of the water companies within our books as Cooperative Bank, and we've had quite a number of facilities and services that we have given them, which has worked very well. I am aware you mentioned about National Bank. My request is that don't forget that Cooperative Bank also has quite a bit of a history with most of the water companies. I know there is a bit of an issue with one particular facility, which we are still working on, and hopefully we'll give feedback in due course. Yes, but otherwise, probably the other question I would ask is what happens with the smaller water companies that are not 70% or not between 50 something? How do they operate without a license? Or is there a mechanism that takes place so that they move to the middle level and then finally the commercial level? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Mary, yes, we interact a lot. My apologies. But I mentioned Cooperative Bank. I know you have been very active on that. But now we want you to feel very, very comfortable. I want to say to the gathering here, Mary has interacted with me a lot, and most of the time she's telling me I have this application. Are they okay? Do they have this? And then I'm telling them they are okay, they have the tariff. And some of them don't have the tariff. We put them to apply for tariff and apply specifically for money for carrying out that kind of work they want to do. Now, the space we are playing around is the space I showed you in red. That there is space for commercial and everybody to come in. But as I said, there's a little bit of fear. And I think we need the commercial, Cooperative Bank and others to be able to demonstrate, no, your money is safe. And I want to give to the WSPs. Now, those WSPs that can you ask them for an interim license, track and help them to move. And we have seen a lot of improvement. There are some that we licensed like 2 years ago, ability of about 30. When we assessed them the other day, they were 55. You see, that's the good development. Again, we give them a 2-year license, so to 70. That is how you grow the sector. So that's what we do. We don't leave you without a license. Thank you very much for that. Good. Terry, over to you now and for the big question. Yes.
Before we go to the big question, is there anyone with a burning question? Very, very burning. Hatutaki utoke hapa ukisema hawakunipea nafasi ya kuwauliza swali. I can take the last two. Haya, mzee wetu pale, and another one behind. Wapatie mics. Those two, and then now we close the meeting.
Asante. Swali langu ni hili. We have talked of the poor of the poor. Some time back, we were considering people living within the informal settlements to be poor. But then they just told us that now you will find that they are living in flats. I may differ with him on that because flats is an improvement of housing. The pockets may not have really changed. So I wonder how you are going to know who is poor of the poor, especially when you move into informal settlements and so on, because you need a system which is very transparent in knowing who is poor and who is not poor. That was my question. How are you going to know who is poor of the poor? And who is going to be determining that? We need a standard way of knowing it, which is transparent, so that we do not discriminate and we do not be subjective.
Last question. Last
Thank you so much. All protocol observed. My name is Bernard Baraza from Kenya Pipeline. Before I ask my question, please allow me just to speak shortly what the role of the interaction between KPC and the water company. KPC, as you know, we are loading petroleum products for our customers, most of them overseas. Uganda, Rwanda, even Tanzania, South Sudan. And KPC also has a regulator, IBRA. Now IBRA, before it licenses us as KPC, has a very, very important function. First of all, they check the amount of water we have because of safety. If the water is 80%, below 80%, 79.9, we are not going to be given certificate to operate. So you can see how important KIWASCO is to KPC. Now, 2, if the water is below 80%, there's something called safety. We have millions and millions of petroleum product in that depot. And we are not worried about payment because that bill is not commensurate to the lives of people in Kisumu. The lives of the people in Kisumu is more important. So we are not going to ask for subsidies as KPC. We are ready to pay that bill. What we are saying is that when the new meters were installed, the plastic ones, we are not afraid of change. But as our engineers, our technical team on the ground was saying, they needed an interaction with KIWASCO so that they understand those new meters that have come. MD, I'm very happy we had one meeting, 1.5 months or 2 months ago with your technical team. We would like to have another one so that we look at those meters. And as I say it again, we are bound together. If we have no water, my IPRA is going to stop us from operating. And then we'll start getting phone calls, big phone calls from State House Uganda to State House Kenya. So we need to work together. Please give us that window so that our technical team will meet with yours and we look at those meters. Otherwise, I would just like to tell WASREB that we are happy. We are getting good services. That depot has never been closed. Thank you so much.
There is a gentleman at the back.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'm Robert Anwar from Kenya Breweries.
You can talk from there.
Okay, thank you. Looking at the roles of WASREB, very good roles, but there's just one inquiry I want to make in relation to sustainability. Looking at water, there has to be very good sustainability program, but that was not really coming out clear. Maybe you can just clarify on your sustainability agenda when it comes to your role. Yeah, that is the only thing that I wanted to know about.
Then I'd like to answer question 2, determining the poor of the poor, and that relationship with the Klima pipeline, you can shed light, and then Engineer Jaga, you could talk about sustainability.
Yeah, thank you very much, Terry. He has worked out. Determining the poor of the poor, there are indicators that we use to determine the poor. There are indicators that we use to map the low income areas. And actually, this is normally done by WASREB, mapping of the low income areas. And they tell us this qualifies as the low income areas, this doesn't. My comment was that the dynamics have changed in some of the low income areas in Kisumu, and there is need for new mapping. Of course, when looking at the poor, if I can just indicate one or two of the parameters, you look at how much they spend in a day. That's number one. Number two, the structure of the house you live in. That will determine whether you are poor. So if you live in a one-bedroom flat in a low-income area, that really, I mean, if you look at the indicator, then you don't qualify. So there are parameters that we use to determine the poor or the poor. Now on plastic meters, and thanks very much, my friend from Kenya Pipeline, we have a very good relationship. I'd say that we embrace technology, and for the major clients, we've been installing electromagnetic flow meters. So that's what we installed at Pipeline. They are more accurate, and actually they are digital, right? They're not mechanical meters. So these are very efficient meters. So of course, when you change from mechanical to a more efficient meter, you will see a change in billing, either upwards or downwards. But of course, we are open to come and explain, have a discussion with you on that. What we normally do is that we also ask our clients to be reading their meters daily, and they keep records, so that if there's any abnormality, then of course that is noted. Of course, when you fill your that big tank of yours once in a while, that is normally very huge consumption. But I'll link you up with the chief engineer. You'll check his contact. Then from there we can continue. We can continue engaging. Thank you very much.
I think the question I'm supposed to respond is WASREB, and if that is in an efficient and effective way, is a question yes or no? No. So what we do at WASREB is that we make sure that all WSPs are financially sustainable, because financial sustainability of WSPs is the foundation of reliable water supply. There is no other way to it. How do we do it? One, through tariff. We ensure that the O&M cost coverage of your tariff is more than 100%. Actually, we recommend 120 and above. Because if you are operating at less than 100%, two things. That means two things. Either you are getting from some subsidy from somewhere which you are not disclosing, or two, your services are deteriorating. We give tariffs, as I said earlier, for a period of 2 years, if your data is not very good. And if your data is very good, we give you up to 5 years. And if you are a WSP with very good oversight, or from board of directors and all that, we even allow you what we call tariff indexation. What that means that every year, you are free to adjust your tariff for inflation. But we don't do that for, that only applies for very reliable and WSP that are operated the way they should be operated. We also look at other issues that like licensing, like we are doing here now, and we also look at governance. That is how we handle that. Secondly is the question of PROPUA, how we are able to identify that. We have a PROPUA indicator, and the MD has rightly said that. There's an indicator which we can that helps us in trying to find out what effort are utilities doing in the PROPUA in the informal area. What happened that when the reforms came, they were new to all of us. There is no WSP that wanted to go to those informal areas. They were saying, one, there's no money there, there's no business. Then they were saying they are dangerous. So they were influencing those areas. So what's happened to develop a criteria that are required that all WSPs must be able to get a PROPUA unit. So that's how we take care of that. The other way we take care of the PROPUA is that the tariff up to 6 kiloliters, it is subsidized. But that subsidy is like for it applies to everybody. But then what happens is that if you are living in a big mansion and a swimming pool at the night, you are likely to spend 6 kiloliters. You use more water than that, and when you use more than 6, that's when now you pay a little bit of money to be able to give those subsidy to the poor. That's how we go about it. We have not profiled. Maybe the person who was asking this question was thinking of profile. We go to every door and then back to me. Otherwise, we cannot do that. So we are done it in a way as so as not to be breach of the constitution. Thank you. Yes, please take the microphone.
Engineer, one question. I think regarding sustainability, I think we also need to look in at long term. Long term in the sense like we have 60% of Kisumu water drawn from River Kibos, and 40% we are drawing from the lake. But now we are coming to a situation where River Kibos keeps on drying up, and there's a lot of pressure that is being put on drawing water from the lake, and treating lake water is expensive. So we also need to look at how we are going to control all those areas where we can, do the afforestation and make sure that the water that is being used to supply people of Kisumu or maybe any other county, how can we sustain it for a longer period?
Yes, thank you. I think those are very real issues, and these are the impact of climate change. When you had what happened, the flooding with the climate change, the drying of River Kibos with the climate change. So that is challenging us now to look at how can we mitigate the impact of climate change, because these things are real. One, we've come up with a new water policy, and in the water policy is clearly spelled out that every water project now done must have a component of water catchment management. Because initially it will just be a water project, but any project coming up, water management must be part of it. So these are some of the changes that we are bringing around. When we are doing on tariff, we allow a little bit of money there for catchment protection. That money goes to Walmart, WRA. As to whether it's doing the right thing, that is another question, but we allow it in the tariff. But I agree with you that the impact of the climate change is something now we need to be alive at. It's not just enough to say that we are getting water from the lake. Something can get happen there. It would be some pollution. I think we've just heard that there's petroleum being transported here, isn't it? So what happened in the oil pollution was? Thank you.
How many want us to come out of here in 30 minutes time? 20 minutes? 10 minutes? Mkubwa wenu hapo anasema immediately. Yeah? This is very serious. Okay, before we completely close, allow me to recognize the presence. Deputy, I wrote it somewhere now, I've forgotten.
Yeah, the chair budget committee, Mheshimiwa Steve.
Tusalimie. Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So I'm going to call upon the acting CEO WASREB to just give us brief remarks on the way forward, and then I will ask you a very serious question, which I need you to be very alert when you are answering me. Sawa sawa? Okay. Sawa sawa. As advised by Engineer Jaga, Let us see by a show of hands how many people are saying yale yote tumeongea hapa ni porojo tupu, na Kisumu Water hata haifai kuwa na license. This is your chance. Mwamuzi ni wako. Ni nani wanapinga kampuni ya Kisumu Water ipewe leseni na WASREB? Inua mkono. Sawa sawa. Ni wangapi wanasema Kisumu Water inafaa kupewa license na mna imani ya kwamba yale yote wamesema hapa watatimiza? Mikono juu. Are we sure? Yes. Tunasemaje kwa Kijaluo? If we are very sure, tuseme kwa Kijaluo? Eh? Kwa ye? Okay, congratulations kwa MD. Nashakuambia. CEO WASREB, and then we finalize.
Thank you very much. I think we are now coming to the close, so we have done what we have done today. So I would like to thank the chair, the chairperson, and your team. Very strong team indeed. Very strong team indeed. And we do pray that the cohesion between the board and the county government in Kisumu should be emulated elsewhere. Really wonderful. That I think we have not received any complaints. That has now led even the board steering the activities of the management in a very, very good way. And you have all witnessed the transparency we have done today, in the sense that the financial institutions have also had everything today. So that is the way to go. The FDSB will be doing things under the carpet, or on are the days when people think that they will travel to Nairobi to influence WASREB to give licenses, among other things. I would like to give a rider. They have did that as much as the stakeholders here have given no objection. WASREB will continue monitoring you. So please promise that our interaction, we shall not just be coming to be more of a prefect to you, but to cross the bridge with you, and also to ensure that at least you go to skills, particularly on issues to do with the sanitation coverage. Issues to do with sanitation coverage, please work closely with other government agencies and ensure that at least